Viewers, welcome back. And with this video, we will talk about an essay, and it is a feminist criticism work. And this work is titled as A Literature of Their Own, and this was published in 1977, and it was published by feminist literary critic and writer Ellen Showalter. And this work this work depicts that how women's as a literary creator, or how women as a writer are treated in this literary world, and how women's work were not treated as up to the standard by the readers in the previous centuries, and those all things are critiqued and discussed by the writer herself. And if we talk about Ellen Showalter was born on January 21, 1941. She is an American literary critic, as we have already talked, and feminist and writer on cultural and social issues. She has influenced feminist literary criticism in the United States academia, and also developed the concept and practice of gynocritics. This is a term describing the study of women as writers. Got it? Now, let's try to know about this essay. This essay, as I have already told you, this essay was written by Ellen Showalter, and this essay was actually a part of her PhD thesis. Her PhD thesis name was The Double Critical Standard Criticism of Women Writers in England from 1845 to 1880, but now it has been extended to 1969, and it was later turned into the book that we are reading now, and the book name is, as we all know, A Literature of Their Own, British women novelists from Bronte to Lessing, and it was published in 1978. And it also contains a lengthy and much discussed chapter on Virginia Woolf. Got it? Now let's try to dive into the main things or main themes of this work. Okay, here in this book, the writer has mentioned that if we turn from pure speculation to literature in the narrow sense of the term and the fine arts, there is a very obvious reason why women's literature is, in its general conception and in its main features, an imitation of men's. Why is the Roman literature, as critics proclaim to satiety, not original but an imitation of the Greek? Simply because the Greeks came first, and if women lived in different country from men and had never read any of their writings, they would have had a literature of their own. As it is, they have not created one because they found a highly advanced literature already created. So according to the writer Ellen Showalter, she has argued that women should have its own literature, and the women writers in the past, they have tried to imitate their female counterpart, the female writers work, the female writers things are influenced, and that all things are imitated by the female writers according to the uh, to the critic. And according to her, that kinds of things should not be happen, because when women write something, or when women creates a literary works, then that literary work will be no doubt means that work will be utterly different. So it is needless to say that women writers are always influenced by male writers. Got it? And she has also advocated that actually women writers have created more advanced literature than the men. Okay. And here she says that 20 years on, a literature of their own revisited. This is the S&M. Here he is. She says that in 1965, when I began to do research for my PhD dissertation on Victorian women writers, feminist criticism did not exist. So she's saying that when she was about to do research for her PhD dissertation on Victorian women writers, at that time in 1965, there were no feminist criticism. Got it? And she says, she adds that Virginia Woolf's letters and diaries were scattered and unpublished. Scholars still call Elizabeth Gaskell Mrs. and Frances Burney Fanny. No one edited women's studies journals or compiled bibliographers of women's writing. And at the University of California at Davis, where I was studying, theory was not even a shadow on the sunny horizon, and the new criticism, F.R. Levis, Northrop Frye, and seven kinds of ambiguity marked the boundaries of my critical sophistication. So these are the things she is arguing that in literary studies, women's writers are never considered, they are never treated as a matter of important. Those things are said by the writer, and she has said that I have chosen my thesis topic in part out of lingering anger at my undergraduate college, Brian Moore, where English majors were required to read every 10th rate male romantic poet and Elizabethan dramatist, but virtually no women, and in part out of my own devotion to the Victorian women writers. So she is saying that she has taken her PhD thesis out of anger because uh, no women writers were in their syllabus, and she had no choice but to read and write about the male writers. Got it? And professional opportunities for academic women seemed so limited in the mid 1960s that I felt paradoxically free to write about the books I like rather than the ones most likely to get me a job. Gwendolyn Needham, my thesis advisor at the University of California at Davis, was sympathetic to my ideas and demanding about my scholarship, but my dissertation, The Double Standard Criticism of Women Writers in Victorian Periodicals 1845-1880, was a hybrid and an attempt to write about women in an outmoded and inadequate critical vocabulary. Got it? She has described here that how her PhD guide has helped her, and how that PhD guide has sympathized with her about her decision. And Princeton University, where I actually wrote most of the dissertation as a faculty wife from 1966 on, did not hire women, but it had the fabulous Paris collection of Victorian fiction, and all the Victorian journals were still on the open shelves, although only the first volume of the Wellesley Index to Victorian Periodicals was available to help me identify anonymous reviewers. So here the writer is saying that uh, in the university where she was working Princeton University there, no women writer were actually they were never hired uh, in a good way. Okay, and but in their university, to Victorian fiction and Victorian journals were still there, and people were reading it, but the treatment for women faculty were not there. Means that the respect for women faculty were not there. That thing she has said here, and she has further she has said that the themes and forms of contemporary women's writing have certainly changed since the 1970s, and there is now even a major literary award, the Orange Prize for women novelists in English, of the writers who have emerged since the first edition of a literature of their own. At least one, uh, Angela, I am sorry if I have pronounced wrong, Angela Carter must be included in any female literary canon or tradition, and several deserve serious critical attention, but I would stand by the concerns I expressed in 1977 with one important modification. Then I wanted that if the room of one's own becomes the destination, a feminine secession from the male power, logic, and violence, it is a tomb. So here the writer is saying that since her publication of that book, then after that many literary awards solely dedicated for women were introduced, and many women writers were they were recognized, and but still the writer is saying that, but still this thing that the room of one's own, this these two things should be in our literature, that female writers should be respected, female writers writing or creation must be read in the university or in the school or in any where in any place where means people read books, or that kind of thing is said by her. Okay, this is my own meaning. You can have your own meaning. Then she says that disturbingly, even in 1998, The Room of One's Own, I think you all have heard this thing, A Room of One's Own. This is a work written by Virginia Woolf, and she has praised her work because Virginia Woolf has said that. A room of one's own. Through her work, she has said that if a female writer or if a woman wants to write, then she must have her own separate room, so that she can be in that place and she can write whatever she likes. But in our traditional homes, especially this was written in English society at that time, women were not given a separate room even. So through her work she has tried to show that women must have one's own room, so that she can write what she likes. Okay, and that thing is praised by the writer. Okay, now let's go on. Disturbingly, even in 1998, The Room of One's Own as the locus for chronic fatigue syndrome, female fantasy, or paralyzing anxiety is still an isolated space in women's fiction, but there is also hopeful evidence that contact with the female tradition and the female culture has been a center, inspiring women writers to take strength in their independence to act in the world. Okay, that thing I already told you. What seems different now is the goal Virginia Woolf articulated at the end of A Room of One's Own 70 years ago, to labor in poverty and obscurity for the coming of Shakespeare's sister no longer seems meaningful or necessary. Feminist criticism and women's literary history do not depend on the discovery of a great unique genius, but on the establishment of the continuity and legitimacy of women's writing as a form of art. With the globalization of culture, moreover, the national boundaries of the novel are fading and disappearing. Was Sylvia Plath, a British or an American writer, can the influence of the Toni Morrison fail to affect the novel in Europe? The distinction of nationality and culture I meant to imply in the title of a literature of their own are no longer as sharp as they were only 20 years ago. So here she has tried to uh, argued how means women writers are treated in any literary world, and this all things you can mention in your exam if you want. You can take screenshot, or you will get this all thing in the original text or original essay. Okay, but if the distinction of gender may also soon becomes matters of literary history, it will be because feminist criticism has succeeded in its task, and having played a part in that great collective effort has been a source of pride and delight to me that no theoretical debates can ever blur. So throughout the book, throughout the essays, the writer Ellen Showalter has tried to advocate it that women writers, women novelists, and feminist works, they were never considered as a part of curriculum, as a part of discussion, or as a part of worth reading. So these all two things, she has tried to give it a different color, that she's saying that these all things are, though it was never read and celebrated by the readers or in the university and college or in any place where people read. So ultimately, these all things created by the female writers or women writers, those things itself, they are itself a very unique thing, and that's why she has titled the essay as a literature of their own. These all are literature of the women's own creation, means they have tried to depict, or they have tried to paint the picture of their challenge, their struggle, their sadness, their happiness, their optimistic thinking, their pessimistic thinking. These all things are depicted and painted. Okay, so this is the lecture from my side, but I have omitted and I have left out many part of that essay, and I have even digressed from the subject too, means from the original thing too. But then after that too, I have given many uh, relevant things from the text, from the essay, and this is just a reference from my side, and this is my own perspective. You can have your own, as I always say in my videos. And for clear understanding and for proper understanding of the text, you must have that text, and you must read the original text, and you must have your own argument, you must have your own perspective. This world means whatever you will write in the exam, that should not be someone else's perspective. Okay, if you are writing someone else's perspective, that means you are not actually enlightened, rather you are trained. Okay, so you should learn that difference. Thank you so much for watching the video. Bye bye.